Do you know what this is? Well, I'm standing here next to the Airstream because this plays an important part in how comfortable you are in your camping trailer. I want to draw your attention to these two outlets. They look pretty similar. This is where you connect the city water to your camper when you're at a full hookup site. And this is where you connect city water when you want to flush your tanks. So we were on a trip through Colorado. We were driving westbound on Route 50, had just cleared canyon, and we're coming up the mountain, and we saw a big storm coming over the mountain. We pulled into our camp spot just before the storm hit, and I had just enough time to race around the camper furiously and connect my electric and my water, and put the water connection onto the tank rinser instead of to the city water connection. I went inside the camper, sat down in the recliner, cracked open a beer, and was sitting there enjoying myself when all of a sudden my wife said, "Flood, flood, flood." And I looked up the hallway and there was just brown crap coming down the hall towards my feet. I immediately realized what I had done wrong, ran out in the rain, turned off the water, reconnected the water to the correct spout over here, or correct input, but it was too late. We had this flood of sewage inside of the trailer. So what did we do? First thing we did was we pulled out all the area rugs and threw them away. We used about 6 rolls of paper towels to sop up everything, used our vacuum, everything we had to get it all out of there. And luckily, my wife had brought the ozonator. So once we got all the liquid sopped up and disposed of, we put the ozonator on and left to go for dinner. Left that ozonator run a couple hours, and when we came back, it was not completely gone. All the odor wasn't completely gone, but it was subdued enough that we thought we could live in the camper. Had that little, I'll call it a Pucano. This is called an Air Admittance Valve. And the overflow of sewage came up and touched the air admittance valve, and I believe what happened was it then caused this valve to fail in the open position. Now, it's important to have a working air admittance valve, and I'll show you on the next couple of diagrams why. In this first diagram, you can see the sink. The sink drains to the black holding tank in my Airstream, along with the toilet. There's a downward sloping piece of plumbing towards the holding tank. In that downward sloping piece of plumbing are 2 connections for air. One is to let air out. That's the roof stack. And the other one there, which is normally pushed up to close off for any passage of air from the tank to the, which is normally pushed up to close off for any passage of air from the tank to the atmosphere. When you're driving down the road, the air pass over the top of the trailer creates a vacuum, and that can pull odors out of the tank, but it can also drain the water out of your P-trap. And remember, you're going up and down hills and you got this air creating a vacuum, so you could easily suck all the water out of your P-trap. Once that happens, you could then be having sewer odors coming directly up into your camper. Or if this is stuck open, you can have, even if there's water in the P-trap, you can have sewer odors coming into the camper. And they can be sucked into the camper because you have other openings in the camper, windows, gaps in doors and things that allow that air rushing by the camper to create low pressure inside the camper that can then pull that sewer smell in. So we noticed that we were having that sewer smell long after we had had the ozonator in there and after we thought everything had been fixed. And it would go away as soon as we put water in the trap and run the fans a little bit when we were parked, but it would come back after we towed again. So I needed to get it fixed. All right, let's back out a little bit. You can see the P-trap. You can see it going back to the drain pipe back there, and it makes a left-hand turn, and then it goes behind this wall. So I'm guessing the air admittance valve is somewhere behind this wall right here. Here is the P-trap. Now the air admittance valve must be somewhere around this thing. So to get behind the wall, I'm going to take out 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then behind this wall, we're going to find the air admittance valve, and it's going to be not where we can see it. It's going to be behind this other cabinet side here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these drawer latches off, and we will make it easy to get into here. And then I'm going to take off those 4 screws, and we're going to look for the air admittance valve. It should be on a short riser. I'll unscrew it off that riser by reaching in behind this panel, and I'll take it out. Here it is. Inside, you're going to see it has a 1 1/4 inch threaded insert in there. I hope you can see that. And the outer piece is a 1 1/2 inch slip in. So this insert slips in. It's 1 1/2 inch. It's glued in place, and then it has a threaded insert there. I looked all over the internet to find one of these, and one of the things that made it harder is the company that originally made it has been sold. It was originally made by Airlet, A-Y-R-L-E-T-T. Airlet was bought by JB Plastics. So JB Plastics still sells these things. I was able to find it on eBay, an exact copy of this, except it didn't have the threaded insert. So after ordering this, I realized, gee, I'm going to need a threaded insert. Now this is made out of ABS plastic, and the threaded inserts I could find were made out of PVC or polyvinyl chloride. And to glue those together, you can't just use normal PVC plastic cement like you would for your irrigation systems. You've got to get an all-purpose cement. It's kind of like a rubber cement, and I don't know if you can see it on here. It has sort of a creamy, gooey, white color to it. So I had to get that, and I had to find the insert. It took me about 5 trips to Home Depot to find the right insert, the right dimensions. What you need is a 1 1/2 inch by slip fit by 1 1/4 inch national pipe thread, and I don't know if you can see, it looks like that. This is a Charlotte pipe, 1 1/2 inch by 1 1/4 Schedule 40 PVC reducing bushing. I got it at Lowe's. You can also get it at Home Depot. So, like any home project, it takes multiple trips to your big box store to find what you want. All right, once I got everything I needed, I put my cement around the outside of the slip fit. I didn't put it into this valve, because if you put it in the valve and it comes down in here and contacts the valve, it could cause the valve to become stuck open or closed again, cause me the same problem I had before. So I put the cement around the slip fit part, and then with this vertical I pushed it down onto the slip fit and gave it a quarter turn like it says in the instructions. It dries pretty quick, about 15 minutes and about 2 hours for full strength. So I put that on, then I had to reach back in behind that wall and screw it on. Now, be careful, you don't want to drop this down there because it's going to go right down between the cabinet and the interior wall of the camper. So be very careful as you're putting it back on. You may want to put a little string or something on it in case you do drop it if you're fumble-fingered. Screwed it back on after applying some pipe thread sealant around here. Now normally you might use Teflon tape. You can't get Teflon tape back in there. It's too difficult to reach. So I used some pipe sealant. I'll show you that later. I used this pipe sealant to seal the threads, screwed this back on. All right, so the 4 things you need. You need to have air admittance valve. If you got one that was the glue-on type, you've got to glue in an adapter to the 1 1/4 inch thread that is on your riser. You're going to need the glue to do that, so I used OD all-purpose cement. It's perfect for cementing PVC to ABS. And then you need some of this stuff, which is T+2 pipe thread sealant. It's good for metal or plastic pipes. I just always keep a tube of this in the camper. You never can tell when you're going to have a plumbing catastrophe that requires some repair. You can also use this on gas lines if you need to. So that's it. This, I don't know what this costs. This is about $8. Fitting is maybe $4. This, if you buy it from an authorized dealer, probably going to cost you about $30 to $40. I bought it on eBay. I got it for $9.95. It did not have the fitting. So basically I went the cheap way all the way around and got my new air admittance valve screwed on. Hopefully no more poo smell in the camper after a long drive. Thanks for watching. I hope you don't have this problem, but if you do, if you're smelling poo in your camper, think about air admittance valve. You got 3 of these in the camper. The one you worry about if you get the poo smell is the one behind the lavatory. You also have one under your kitchen sink, and you have another one at the shower. I can't show you where those are located. I don't know. I've never had to replace them. These last a really, really long time, and unless you do something stupid like I did. So good luck in your camper. I hope you don't have any bad smells, but if you do, try replacing your air admittance valve.